As the sun melted into the horizon, Nia gripped the broom tightly and soared into the sky, her heart thudding wildly in her chest. Beneath her, the quiet village of Mbale lay still, unaware of the silent figure sweeping across the rooftops. She flew like a spirit on the wind until she reached the home of Tando. Silently, she crept through the shadows and slipped into his room, where he lay snoring, unaware of the storm creeping toward him. Her hands, trembling but fierce, reached out with a strength she hadn't known she possessed. It was the same evening that her husband Bako had passed on. A heavy cloud of sorrow wrapped around their compound like a suffocating cloth. People came and went, family, neighbors, old friends, offering bowls of stew and baskets of roasted maize, whispering condolences. But no one could calm the storm inside Nia. Her tears wouldn't stop, and her thoughts drowned in grief and fear. Bako had been her rock, her protector, her other half. How could she raise 4 daughters without him? His final act before illness overtook him had been to walk her to the edge of the Kembu Plains. "These lands," he had said, pointing, with steady fingers, "will shelter you and the girls when I'm gone." She hadn't imagined how soon that moment would come. Now that memory was all she had, the only thing she could hold on to. As twilight deepened, Bako's brother, Tando, pulled her aside, his expression grim. "We need to prepare for the burial," he said quietly. "There will be livestock costs. We'll need money." Nia wiped her cheeks and nodded. She knew he was right. Bako had to be laid to rest with honor. "We should sell a small piece of land," Tando continued, "just enough for the expenses." Nia paused but then agreed. It made sense and she trusted Tando. He was blood. The land was sold and the ceremony was held. Drums echoed, incense rose, and the earth accepted Bako. Nia clutched her daughters during the rites, whispering again and again, "Why did you leave me? How can I raise them alone?" Her world felt empty. After the funeral, the visitors faded away, and the once bustling home turned quiet and cold. Days slipped into weeks, and as morning slowly dulled into numbness, Nia knew she had to rise again. One morning she walked to Kembu Plains, heart heavy but determined. Farming had always fed them. It would again. But when she reached the land, her breath caught. It was already full. Tall crops lined the earth, green and thriving, clearly. Tended by someone else. Confused, she scanned the field, wondering who had done this, when a harsh voice struck the air. "What are you doing here?" Tando stood before her, face like granite. "I came to start farming," Nia said, standing her ground. "My daughters are hungry." Her voice shook, but did not break. Tando's eyes hardened. "This land is no longer yours," he said coldly. Her heart pounded. "That's not true. Bako left this land for us. What are you saying?" "You gave him no son," he snapped. "As his brother, I now own this land. Stay away." Nia stumbled back as if struck. "That's a lie. He trusted me with this land, for his daughters," she pleaded, her tears blinding her, but Tando only sneered. "Keep off this land or you'll regret it." With a shove, he pushed her aside and walked away, leaving her humiliated in the dust. Heartbroken but not defeated, Nia went to the Circle of Wisdom, the council of elders who held the village's justice. She told them everything, hoping they would see the truth. Days passed, and when they finally summoned her, their verdict shattered her. "You have no son," they said. "The land goes to your husband's brother." They wouldn't meet her eyes, but the guilt clung to their faces. Tando had bribed them. Their judgment was bought. Nia left with her spirit crushed, her steps heavy. The world had turned its back on her, and her voice was now just a whisper lost in the wind. Each night she cried herself to sleep, holding her daughters close as their stomachs growled with hunger, while Tando's threats grew louder by the day. Soon Tando made it clear he would cast them out of their own home, and every attempt Nia made to seek help was met with cold refusal, silence, or twisted traditions that always seemed to favor him. She felt suffocated, caged by a world that no longer listened. One afternoon, while sitting under the shade of the old mango tree in her dusty yard, someone approached, a familiar presence from long ago. It was Mbale, her childhood friend, offering a gentle smile. They had last seen each other at Bako's funeral, and now her face felt like a sliver of sunlight piercing through Nia's storm. Words spilled from Nia's lips in a jumble of pain and exhaustion, and Mbale listened closely, her jaw tightening and her gaze growing fierce. After a long silence, she leaned forward, grasped Nia's worn hands, and said in a hushed tone, "There is a path forward, but you must follow it without question." Nia's breath quickened, her voice shaking. "Tell me, I will do anything to protect my daughters." Mbale glanced around to ensure no one was near. "I belong to a circle of women who have claimed a power that lies beyond this world. If you walk with us, you will gain the strength to take back what has been stolen." Nia's stomach twisted. Whispers of witchcraft flickered in her memory, stories of women who had dabbled in forbidden forces. Her rough, calloused hands trembled in her lap, hands that had nurtured, worked, and protected. Could she really step into the unknown? Seeing her hesitation, Mbale leaned in closer, voice urgent. "Think of your daughters, Nia. Think of the hunger, the fear, the life they will endure if you do nothing. Do you want them to live under Tando's shadow forever?" Nia's chest tightened. Her heart raced, but the image of her girls crying in the night lit a fire in her. Slowly she nodded. "I'm ready. Take me there." That night, beneath a cloak of silence, Mbale guided her through winding footpaths deep into the forest until they reached a hidden glade cloaked in mist. There, waiting in the dark, were the women of the coven, eyes glowing, faces both fierce and kind. The leader stepped forward, a tall figure with eyes like burning coals. "You seek power," she said, "but nothing comes without sacrifice. Are you ready to pay the price?" Nia's throat was dry, but she whispered, "Yes." The leader nodded, guiding her to a shrine built of stone and roots. "From this moment," she declared, "you must never allow Yam into your home. Not to eat, not to touch. Break this rule and all that we give will vanish." Nia nodded again, her pulse loud in her ears. Then they placed in her hands a long, slender broom, invisible to others but pulsing with spirit. "This will lift you through the sky," they told her, "and from the shadows you will strike down those who have wronged you." That night, holding the broom tight, her fear melted into flame. She felt power rise inside her, sharp, ancient, and unstoppable. There was no turning back. The next evening, as darkness folded over Mbale, Nia rose into the sky, a silent wind behind her. She flew across the sleeping village, her heart pounding like war drums. She reached Tando's house, slipped through the dark like smoke, and found him snoring. With hands now full of purpose, she reached for him, her fingers tightening around his throat. He gasped, eyes wide, but she didn't stop. She watched the light fade from him, her heart steady, her spirit satisfied. By morning, whispers of Tando's strange death rippled through the village. No one questioned it out loud. They murmured that the gods had heard the widow's cries. "Justice has come," they said. Nia reclaimed her land, walking the Kembu plains again with her daughters by her side. Her home became whole once more, filled with laughter and strength. But she never forgot the cost. She kept Yam far from her home and lived by the sacred rules she had accepted. In time, she became a figure of power, both respected and feared. No one dared challenge her. She enforced new customs. Yam, once a staple, was banned and replaced with meals of her choosing. Some muttered in corners, but those who dared oppose her fell ill or faced misfortune until no one questioned her authority. Years passed. Her daughters blossomed into strong, radiant women, each marrying, each bearing children of their own. Nia's heart swelled with pride. She had survived, fought, and won. But just as peace had settled in her bones, a strange sickness began to creep through her body. No herb could cure her, no healer could explain. Each day she grew weaker, her strength slipping through her fingers like dry leaves. One night, desperate and trembling, she took up her broom once more and flew to the grove. The leader of the coven was waiting, her expression grave. "Nia," she said, her voice low and steady, "you have received much from us." "The coven," leader said, her voice calm and cold, "but now it is time for your first offering." Nia's heart stopped. a wall of dread slamming down in her chest. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice cracking. The woman looked at her with indifference. "If you wish to keep living, you must offer a blood sacrifice to the circle, someone from your own lineage." Horror surged through Nia's body like a dark wave. Her thoughts scrambled, her breath shallow. "You mean one of my children?" she whispered. The leader's eyes did not soften. "It need not be one of your daughters," she said evenly. "A grandchild, or even a great-grandchild will do. The blood must still be yours, and you do not have long to choose. Refuse, and death will claim you." That night, Nia lay on her mat, drenched in sweat, haunted by the woman's words. Her mind echoed with one chilling phrase: "A life for a life." She thought of her daughters, of Obom, the one who had always cared for her the most. The thought of harming any of them twisted her soul, but death loomed close, whispering promises of pain and silence. Her body trembled. "It doesn't have to be my daughter," she reasoned, staring into the shadows. "It could be someone else." Her thoughts drifted to Obom's unborn child, her fourth pregnancy, the little life that hadn't yet taken its first breath. The choice felt cruel, but lighter. "I've come too far to die now," she whispered to herself, clutching her blanket as guilt and desperation clawed at her. The next morning she called, her voice soft and fragile. "Obom, I am so weak today. Please come stay with me." Her daughter's reply was instant, filled with concern. "Of course, Mama. I'll be there today." And true to her word, Obom arrived that afternoon, arms full of food, heart full of love. She cooked for her mother, fed her with kindness, tucked her into bed, like she had done as a child. "You'll be fine, Mama," she whispered, smiling, unaware of what fate had already decided. That evening, Nia placed her hand on Obom's rounded belly. "I can't wait to meet this little one," she said, smiling through the ache in her chest. "Thank you for coming." Obom kissed her goodnight and left. But hours later, she woke screaming. Her sheets were soaked. Her baby was gone. Grief tore through her body like fire. She wept until her voice cracked, believing the doctor's words that stress had taken her child. She never once suspected her mother. At that same hour, Nia awoke feeling whole again. The pain was gone. Her strength had returned. She sat up, breathed deeply, and smiled, her life restored by a secret price. But soon the sickness would return, and each time another daughter would come, another child would be lost. Over time, this dark exchange became routine, a secret cycle of visits and death. The pain fed Nia's strength, while the daughters mourned in silence. At first they believed it was tragedy, cruel and unexplained. But one day Obom gathered her sisters in a quiet garden behind the house. "Each time Mama falls ill," she said, voice low and shaking, "and we visit her with our children, we lose one." Her sisters looked at each other, pale with dread. "It's happened to all of us," whispered the second daughter. "This isn't a coincidence." Obom's jaw clenched. Could Mama be the one doing this? The words tasted poisonous, too painful to be real, but deep down they all knew. Their mother hadn't aged in years. Her eyes had grown colder, and the more their children disappeared, the stronger she became. "She's a witch," Obom said, barely audible, "and we are her sacrifices." No one wanted to believe it, but truth, like a snake in the grass, was undeniable. Fear gripped them. What if they confronted her, and she turned on them too? So together they made a pact. If Nia fell sick again, no one would visit. Instead, they would send a servant, someone outside their blood. Soon after, Nia called again, her voice weak, filled with practiced sorrow. "Please, my daughter, I'm unwell. Come see me." Obom's hands trembled as she replied, heart thudding. "Mama, I'm overwhelmed with the children. I'll send the maid to care for you. You'll be fine." She ended the call, her chest heavy, eyes wet with dread, knowing she had chosen to protect her own. Nia reached out to her other daughters, her voice growing more desperate each time, but all of them gave the same response, silence wrapped in politeness. Panic swelled in her chest like rising floodwater. They know, she thought, her pulse racing. They know what I've done. Dread coiled around her as she clutched the broom and returned to the hidden grove. The coven leader stood waiting, a cruel smirk curving her lips. "So your daughters have seen the truth at last," she said with mock sympathy. "They've awakened." "Help me," Nia cried, her voice breaking. "They won't come near me. I need to restore my strength or I will die." The leader shrugged, unconcerned. "You don't need them to be present. Use your broom, go to their homes under the veil of night. Take what you need." That same night, trembling but determined, Nia gripped the broom and let its power surge through her. She soared silently toward Obom's house, her heart torn between hunger and horror. In the shadows, she entered the child's room and performed the dark ritual, stealing the breath of the innocent. By dawn, the child was gone, and Nia once again stood strong, her body renewed. Grief shattered Obom, and her sisters, filled with rage and despair, gathered in secret. The second daughter's voice cut through the silence. "We must find someone who can protect us, a native healer." United in purpose, they journeyed into the dense heart of the village, where the air hung thick with the scent of sacred smoke. Inside the healer's dimly lit hut, the old man studied them with eyes full of ancient knowing. "Your mother is a witch," he said calmly. "She has stolen life from your children to stretch her own. She will not stop until all your arms are empty." Obom clutched her chest. "Please," she whispered, "what can we do?" The healer's voice softened. "There is one thing she fears, cocoyam. Line your homes with it. Eat it in every meal. It will drain her power and keep her from crossing your thresholds." The sisters exchanged stunned glances. "But she always told us to avoid cocoyam," said the youngest. "She banned it from our plates since we were children." The healer nodded slowly. "Because it's her only weakness." That night, each daughter filled her home with the scent of cocoyam. Leaves around windows, roots at the door, steaming bowls on every table. And when Nia fell ill again and called, no one came. Desperate, she mounted her broom and flew to her second daughter's house, only to be flung backwards by an unseen force, like striking an iron wall. Shaken, she tried another and another, but each time the power of cocoyam repelled her, casting her down into the dirt. Her breath caught in her throat. She returned to the coven, her strength wavering, and the leader met her with a grave expression. "Your daughters have turned against you," she said. "They've found your weakness. They have severed your grip. There is nothing left for you here." Nia dropped to her knees, the weight of her sins pressing her down. She returned home, broken, her life unraveling. Day by day, her body withered. Lying in her bed, shadows circling her vision, she faced the truth. She had done this to herself. Her greed had twisted love into poison. Her eyes welled with tears as she thought of her brave, wounded daughters. All she had ever wanted was to protect them. Yet in trying to escape death, she had become its servant. With shaking hands, she penned letters to each one, words heavy with sorrow. "I'm sorry, I only wanted to stay to see you grow, to protect you, but I made choices that hurt you and I now face what I deserve. I hope one day you'll find it in your hearts to forgive me, even if I cannot forgive myself." That night, Nia passed quietly, alone, with only silence to witness her final breath. Whispers spread quickly through the village. Some said she had been a witch. Others remembered how she had banned cocoyam from every feast. Now it all made sense. When the letters reached her daughters, they wept, not from hatred, but from the heavy, aching mix of grief and release. Their mother's curse had ended, and though the pain could not be erased, peace was finally possible. In time they forgave her, each in her own way, raising their children with laughter instead of fear. Nia's story faded into myth, a dark tale passed from lips to ears across generations, warning of what happens when love is twisted by desperation and greed. Her daughters lived on in light, never forgetting, but free at last from the shadow that had once darkened their skies.